old house stood on a hill overlooking the town. It had been empty for many years, and rumors swirled about it being haunted. Some said that a mad scientist had once lived there, and that his experiments had gone terribly wrong. Others said that the house was cursed by a vengeful spirit. One day, a group of teenagers decided to explore the house. They had heard the rumors, but they didn't believe them. They thought it would be fun to spend a night in the old house and see if anything happened. The teenagers arrived at the house late at night. They broke a window and climbed inside. The house was dark and dusty, and the air was thick with the smell of mildew. The teenagers used their flashlights to explore the house. They found old furniture, cobweb-covered paintings, and books with pages that were falling apart. The teenagers came to a large room at the end of the hallway. In the center of the room was a large mirror. The teenagers stood in front of the mirror and looked at their reflections. "I look weird," one of the teenagers said. "Me too," another one said. The teenagers started to laugh. They thought it was funny how their reflections looked different. But then, one of the teenagers stopped laughing. "My reflection is moving," he said. The other teenagers looked at the mirror. Their reflections were moving too. They were moving independently of them. The teenagers were scared. They tried to back away from the mirror, but their reflections wouldn't let them. The reflections reached out and grabbed them. The teenagers screamed as they were pulled into the mirror. They disappeared into the glass, one by one. The next morning, the police were called to the old house. They had received a report of missing persons. The police searched the house, but they couldn't find any sign of the teenagers. The police interviewed the teenagers' friends and family. They learned that the teenagers had been planning to explore the old house the night before, but no one had seen them since. The police concluded that the teenagers had run away, but the teenagers' friends and family didn't believe it. They knew that the teenagers would never run away without telling anyone. The teenagers' disappearance remained unsolved. The old house continued to stand on the hill overlooking the town, and rumors continued to swirl about it being haunted. One day, a young woman named Sarah decided to investigate the old house. She had heard the stories about the missing teenagers, but she didn't believe them. She thought it was more likely that the teenagers had simply run away. Sarah arrived at the house late at night. She broke a window and climbed inside. The house was dark and dusty, and the air was thick with the smell of mildew. Sarah used her flashlight to explore the house. Sarah came to the large room at the end of the hallway. In the center of the room was the large mirror. Sarah stood in front of the mirror and looked at her reflection. "Hello," she said. Her reflection smiled back at her. "Hello," her reflection said. Sarah was surprised. She had never seen a mirror that could talk before. "Who are you?" she asked. "I'm you," her reflection said, "but I'm also something else." "What else?" Sarah asked. "I'm your darkest fear," her reflection said. Sarah was scared. She tried to back away from the mirror, but her reflection wouldn't let her. Her reflection reached out and grabbed her. Sarah screamed as she was pulled into the mirror. She disappeared into the glass, leaving no trace behind. The old house continued to stand on the hill overlooking the town, and rumors continued to swirl about it being haunted. But now, there was one more story to add to the lore of the old house. The story of Sarah, the young woman who was swallowed by the mirror.